Sometimes it's better to do nothing with your aquarium. I wound up with baby plecos.
When I use ChemiPure, I see results as far as clean tanks, less water changes, reduced nutrients, just an overall great product.
And how long have you been using ChemiPure?
Going on 10 years.
Hi everybody, John here with another Fincast, and today I've got a tank here in my office that I haven't spent much time tending to as the summer months have worn on a little bit, and I decided I would do a little cleanup, and lo and behold I found baby plecos in the tank. So let me tell you a little bit about them, a little bit about what I'm doing about it, and maybe ask you for some advice on what I should do going forward. First of all, I'll tell you about the aquarium. It's right here in my home office. I mean, it's right there. I'm looking at the adult plecos right now. I can't see any babies, but I just left it alone for a few months. As I've mentioned in a previous Fincast, I've had a few health issues. I've been focusing a little bit on my reef tank and enjoying that, and so the stargrass in this aquarium was going nuts, and none of the light was getting down into the lower areas, so I thought I'd trim it back a little bit. And then when I went to do that, I discovered a bunch of, and I say a bunch, maybe 3 or 4 baby plecos, maybe a half-inch long, all attached to the glass on the back of the tank. So like I said, there were 3 or 4 of them. This is actually the second time this has happened in this aquarium. The first time I thought, well, that's just a huge fluke. It's been, I don't know, over a year since the last time any baby plecos showed up in this tank. But it did happen once before. None of them survived to adulthood, and I didn't, I hoped they would, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know much about it. But this time they're larger. They're maybe half an inch large, and you can see their colors. You can see the definition on their tail. They look just like the adults, but they're smaller. I'm not sure of the species. I ordered these from a wholesaler, and they were supposed to be brown bristlenose plecos, but they've never developed any bristles. And they appear to be, when you look at the adults here, they appear to be full size at about 3 to 3.5 inches. They're real pretty. They're brown. They've got the speckles on their back. They're not the same as your typical pet store pleco, but I don't know. So somebody tell me it's an L something, but I don't know exactly what it is. They've done extremely well in this aquarium. So I wish I could tell you the species, but I can't. Once again, I've had him for a couple of years, and there is an albino bristlenose in the tank, which, as near as I can tell, is not participating in this party. So I've looked through the removed stargrass. So I took half of the stargrass out before I realized what I was doing, and had put it all in a bucket. So I kind of went through, and lo and behold, I found 2 more baby plecos underneath all the stargrass. So they were attaching themselves and living in this thick vegetation that's growing across the top of the aquarium. So I found 2 more, returned those to the aquarium, and then I obviously decided to leave the rest of the stargrass up there. And I'm hoping that whatever it is they're feeding on, or wherever it is they're hiding, or whatever it is they're doing is happening in that stargrass, which I've just kind of let go crazy. And we'll see what happens. If nothing else, it's a great home for the baby guppies who are in the aquarium. But I have looked all around the rocks and the driftwood, and I haven't seen any more baby plecos in places where you typically would find adult plecos. So we'll see. Now this aquarium itself has CO2 running all the time. I just drew it at 1 bubble per second. I'm not very scientific about it. I probably should be turning it off when the lights are off, but I just kind of let it go. And the tank is doing, obviously fine, maybe too fine. The lights are on for about 7 hours every evening. I'm using 1 LED light rated for plants. Obviously, I don't trim or plant this aquarium the way that I would like to, or the way that I once did, so I've just kind of let it go wild. But it's doing fine. It's got a canister filter on it with ChemiPure in it, and I change that out and clean it periodically, and probably not as often as I should, but probably once every 5 or 6 weeks, and I replace the ChemiPure in there. Fish stocking right now includes 2 opaline gouramis. There's a pair of swordtails, which are not breeding and haven't shown any interest in it, though the guppies are doing well. So I do have a bunch of fancy guppies swimming around the tank. A school of about 7 neon tetras, a very shy horsehead loach, and a couple of snakeskin barbs, which are left over from I had a school of 7 at one point, and something went through the tank and wiped out a lot of fish, but these 2 survived. So for now, I guess I'll just leave the aquarium covered in stargrass and hope that some of these babies survive to adulthood. If anybody has any advice on what I might do that's not extremely complicated to help in their survival rate, I will. I feed this aquarium once a day. I use the Extreme Aquatic Pellets, Extreme Aquatic Foods cat scrapers, which is a big wafer that I break up into several pieces and drop in there, and I can tell you that the fish absolutely love it. And then I use the Extreme Community Crave flake food that I've been kind of mushing up and feeding to the baby guppies that you see on top of the tank. But that's once a day, and that's pretty much all I have been feeding this tank. I do water changes about every 4 or 5 weeks. I do a 20 to 25% water change. And that's it. So here is a look at the aquarium for now. Some pretty fish in there. I hope you enjoy it. While you look at the aquarium, tell you that you can follow Fincasters on Instagram and on Facebook. Please subscribe if you haven't already. In the show notes, I'll have links to a video on the stargrass, which is growing really crazy in this aquarium. Also, I recently did a video on those opaline gouramis. I'll give you a link to that. And if I can find it, a link to a Florida fish farmer who really does grow these bristle-nosed plecos, and interviewed him not so long ago about what he does, and he talked a little bit about the plecos and their behaviors in his fish farm and the breeding techniques that he uses. Not sure it'll transfer over your aquarium, but it might. If nothing else, you'll find it kind of interesting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next Fincast.